And I'm picking number 17 to look at because essentially we could go to our same idea as when we did unit fractions. What we want to do is read this carefully. Thomas buys a case of bottled water. A case contains 36 bottles of water and costs $4.69. Thomas will sell each bottle of water for 75 cents at a school event. How much profit will Thomas earn if he sells all the bottles of water? So we want to analyze how much money he's going to make. Now this is still in the non-calculator portion of the test, so you need to be ready to calculate here. First off, in order to know how much profit he's making, we know how much he's selling each bottle for. The profit for each bottle is going to be the difference between the 75 cents that he sells it for and however much each bottle cost. So you're going to have to figure out how much each bottle cost based on the price right here. And then there's going to be a little bit more math to figure it out. So let's go get our numbers down first of all. Again, I would highly recommend that you get out of the word problem and into some numbers. So I'm going to say the case 36 bottles cost $4.69. And sales price for one bottle was 75 cents. So we're going to have to tackle this in a couple steps. First of all, if it cost $4.69 for 36 bottles, how much is it for one bottle? In other words, how many times can $4.69 be broken up into 36 pieces, each piece being equal? So that would just be a division problem. You would do 30, oops, I'm sorry, did that wrong there. 469 is our dividend, and our divisor is 36. Okay, so here's your decimal point here. And let's see, 36 will not go into 4 at all, so that's going to be a 0 right there. You move over, and you just imagine that that decimal point is not there. 36 goes into 46 one time, and that's 36 down here. And so you're going to be left with 10, and then you bring down the 9, and 36 goes into 109. Let's see, it wouldn't be 3 times, it would only be 12 times, I believe. 36 times 2 is 72. Oh, I apologize. We are going to get it 3 times. Sorry about that. Been doing a lot of these here. 36 times 3 is... 36 times 3 is going to be, well, 30 times 3 is 90. 6 times 3 is 18. Let's start this one again. 17 I want to do, none of the math is that complicated, but it's actually several steps. And this is kind of getting into the harder questions on PARCC, the ones that are difficult, not because anything in particular, there's any particularly difficult calculation, but it's multiple steps that you have to keep track of. So I want to walk you through this type of thinking. What you have is a case of 36 bottles of water that cost $4.69. And Thomas wants to sell each bottle for 75 cents. How much profit will Thomas earn if he sells all the bottles? So there's no direct way to get this answer. You have to plug away at a couple things. First of all, you need to know the difference between how much each bottle costs and how much he sells it for to find out the profit. That's what profit is. It's how much money you make after you pay for the bottles. So you don't sell a bottle of water and get all 75 cents because you had to pay some of that 75 cents to actually buy the bottle of water. The profit is the difference between what you paid and what you made. So there's going to be a subtraction problem involved, but we can't get there until we figure out how much money one bottle of water costs. So what I always do with word problems, especially these multi-step ones, is I write down all the different things. So I don't have to read it out of a word problem. I can read it off of a list. So a case has 36 bottles. The case cost $4.69, and the price that he sold one bottle for was $75. Those were all the numbers that we were given. So those are all the values that I need to know to solve this problem. Okay, so what can we do? First of all, 36 bottles cost $4.69. How much does one bottle cost? Another way to think of that is how much money can you, how do I want to say this? If the cost is $4.69 for 36 bottles, then if you divide $4.69 up evenly 36 times, that'll be the cost of one bottle. So if I could take this amount of money, $4.69, and cut it up into 36 equal pieces, that'll be how much one bottle costs. And of course, to cut something up into equal pieces, you do division. Unfortunately, this is not a calculator problem, which means you have to do it the hard way. 36 divided by $4.69. And so with this here, you need to see how many times 36 goes into 4. Well, that's going to be 0 times. How many times does 36 go into 46 right here? That would be 1 time. And then you just kind of ignore the decimal here. So 36, subtract. And that would be 10, right? And then you bring down the 9 before you do anything else. And then it's 109. So the question is, how many times does 36 go into 109? That's going to end up being 3 times. So 3 times 36, well, 3 times 30 is 90, and 6 times 3 is 18. 90 plus 18 is 108. And so you subtract here, and you're going to get 1. And then you bring down a 0, which will give you 10. And that's going to, let's see, 36 does not go into 10, so there's another 0. And then you have to bring down another 0. 36 goes into 102 times. And right here I'm going to stop, because of course you can keep going, and it actually turns out that you're going to get a repeated number here after this point. But we're dealing with cents, which means once you get to 13, you don't need, especially because you have a 0 right here, this is definitely just about 13 cents. You don't need to worry about this 2 10,000ths of a cent right here. So we can eliminate all that and just say that each bottle now, we know that each bottle cost per bottle equals 13 cents. And then the question now we're going to do another step right here. The difference, the profit, is going to be 75 cents minus 13, because you sold it for 75 cents, but you already spent 13 to buy the bottle, so you don't get to count that as money that you made. So 75 minus 13 equals 62 cents. So you're going to make 62 cents per bottle. And this is why this question is complicated, is because you have to keep track of what you're answering. How much profits will Thomas earn if he sells all the bottles of water? So that's going to become, let's see, 36 times 62 cents. So then to determine the total now, we have the price per bottle, but remember he's selling all 62 bottles. So you have to do, or not 62, all 36 bottles. So what you're going to have to end up doing then is, let me get myself a little more space here. All right. The 62 cents, 36 bottles times 62 cents. Now remember, to multiply by hand, you want to just kind of ignore that decimal point until you go through all the calculations, and then you count how many decimal points you have after that. So let's ignore the decimal point. We'll just do 36 times 62. That's going to be 12. Bring the 1 up. 2 times that is 6, plus 1 is 7, so that's 72. Then for the tens place, we had the 0 there. 6 times 6 is 36. You bring up a 3. 6 times 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21. So we get a 21 right there. And then you take the sum of the two numbers, so that's 2, 13, carry the 1, 2, and 2. And then you remember that this was 62 cents. It had 2 decimal places after it. And so you have to have 2 decimal places after that number, 2232. If you forget about, the exact way of doing this, as far as where the decimal goes, just get rid of the decimals, do the multiplication, and think, what's a reasonable profit to make? Is he going to make $223.02? Probably not. Is he going to make only $2? Well, if he's making over 50 cents per bottle, it would only take 4 bottles to get over $2. So it wouldn't be $2. It's the $22.32. And again, remember to fill that in, 22.32.